Hello everyone, Rascal Entertainment's here.
And Mama Entertainments. Welcome to our podcast.
Today we're going to count down 8 of the most epic intro music in animation.
All of these contenders have their own unique sound, but each of them perfectly fits their own show concept.
At number 8, we have Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes for the intro song Fight as One by Bad City.
I love this when you tell me, listen to this. You're going to hear this. This is really good.
Oh yeah, and I showed this to Mama like a few months ago actually when we were looking for themes to listen to, and for a while I had no idea what the song was from. I had heard of it, and then I found out it was from an old Avengers show. I was like, what? And it's really. Unfortunately, it's kind of sad they don't have this type of music anymore for the Avengers because now they have it's just the title and then the show starts.
Right.
And at least this is when they would actually put the effort into a long intro to get you hyped up for the show.
Absolutely. And that's what I was going to say. So this is why we chose Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Fight as One, as number 8.
Yep.
And now at number 7, Ben 10 Alien Force intro. I love this intro. I've loved it ever since I saw the series. It sounded so epic, and I would get excited knowing, okay, the show's coming on. And I know I'm not a kid, but I felt like a kid every time we would see this intro. And there were times I would say, Rascal, play the intro again. She's like, are you serious? Play the intro again. Because I just really, really love this intro. It's one of the best ever for a television animated series.
And it is funny because you go from the original Ben 10 and it just started with an alien and it was just like a little bit of the techno, electronic, and this one
and
just
goes more poppy too.
Right.
Pop sound.
And I guess because of the style of the show. Since this one's a darker show, they decided to go for a more epic theme because it's more action, adventure, and more serious tone. And it's perfect.
And it also reminds me of when I was younger, that will have reruns on like Space 1999 and different shows like that. And it reminds me, even Star Trek, when you see reruns and different things, this theme reminds me of that type of element. It kind of puts you, it's like a shout out or in honor of those type of epic show themes. And it's great that they went back for that because it has stood out not only during the time it was on, but it stood the test of time as being one of the most unique intros to an animated series on TV.
Yeah, and I have to say, and the Ultimate Alien Force did not have as a big epic song as Alien Force, but I do appreciate them trying to, do another one. But I think the best one will be, no dishonor to the original, but it always will be this one.
Okay.
And now at number 6,
Voltron Legendary Defender intro. There was no way this music could not end up on this list.
Right.
It is just so awesome. And I know that you've told me there are people that think the first one was better. And for them it is. But for me, this Legendary Defender music is the best. I love how it sounds. It starts off slowly. It builds up and then gets epic. And then it has the awesome drums in it. And it just makes you excited for what's to come.
And it's such a flip from, like I said, the original, where it was, for the time, that was the action-packed theme, and Peter Cullen doing a voiceover.
It was always awesome.
And it then, it kind of explains what everything is, kind of like some of the intros used to be. But now, people want to get straight to the show, so intros have to be shorter, and get you hyped up faster than a whole explanation of the show, then a song, then the intro. Now they just want to get to the show, so this was perfect.
Exactly, and that's what this song does exactly, perfectly. And it's great how the intro shows every member of the cast, not only the paladins, but Allura and Karan and the villains. Everything is succinct and done in that short 55 seconds. Everything you need to know about the show and that it's exciting is transmitted and delivered in that 55-second intro.
And just kind of like the Powerpuff Girls, where you get everything visually with great music. It's kind of like that in terms of getting everything in one.
So that's why Voltron Legendary Defender is number 6 on our list.
Yep.
At number 5, we've got DreamWorks Troll Hunters intro airing on Netflix. I think this is a perfect intro for this show. When you watch the show and you see how every single episode is exciting and it has drama and action and suspense, and every episode in itself is a little pocket of epic animation.
Right.
Seriously, so it's perfect.
Right. And I love how they stuck to movie style CGI with, especially for the intro, because as you can see, when DreamWorks does spin-off shows, they either switch to Flash, 2D, or something cheaper, and it never looks as great as the movie, which kind of lowers the experience.
Right.
But now for Troll Hunters, they stay as if the whole thing is one big long movie.
Yes.
And complete with an epic intro, great animation, great story, and it all ties into 30 seconds of footage.
All right. And I think for this one to be fully experienced, having the visual with the audio is a perfect pairing. It just makes it much more exciting. The music is awesome, but the visual with the audio just makes it absolutely perfect.
And that's why Troll Hunters is our number 5 on their list. And now coming in at number 4, the Justice League animated series intro.
Awesome. Every single time I hear it, it's awesome and it's exciting.
And I remember seeing the show years ago, and this is before I got into superhero shows. The only superhero show I watched at the time was Static.
We saw it.
Right. Okay, well, we saw it recently a few years ago,
Right.
but when I was very little, and it aired on TV.
La-di-da.
It aired on TV, but I didn't watch it because
Right.
I was in the superhero show. The only superhero show I watched was, I think, Static and Teen Titans, and they were
Right.
different from Justice League.
That's
But
true.
now having more of a appreciative for, the animation, appreciation.
And Netflix.
Right. And seeing how they can do these intros and these stories and plans, more to it than just what the intro is, although that can really set you up for what's to come after it's over.
Exactly. The entire intro in its full minute length you have to see and hear. Due to copyright, we were only able to show less than 30 seconds.
Right.
So we tried to find where the crescendo goes up and it gets really, the element gets really epic, and you can see the images throughout the entire theme song. You've got these powerful images showing each member of the Justice League team. And again, it's great at summing up what the series is about, letting you know whom each character is and what they do. It's so perfectly done. And in the beginning, it reminds me of The Right Stuff, which is a movie I don't know if you've seen, where all the heroes are walking across, spread out, and walking toward the screen. And it's just epic in every sense of the word.
Right. And you see it's used everywhere, too.
Yes.
It also It's also the best one of the series because it did get a second series called Justice League Unlimited. Unfortunately, nowhere near as epic as this one. It's just kind of a standard rock theme. It's fine to me, but it's nowhere near as iconic or epic as the first one.
Definitely. We like both series, but as you said, this is the best intro between the two. So that's why Justice League, the animated series intro, made our number 4 in our countdown. Now at number 3, we have Transformers Prime intro. Josh Keaton! Okay, I know. He's not the song, but...
Well, he does do a voice in there. He's a voice, I think, Jack?
Yes. Yeah. This, I remember when Rascal first told me about this series being on. I hadn't seen it. She saw it before me. But from the first episode, I was hooked. And part of it that was able to hook me into seeing this series was this intro. It's just an incredible way to... give homage to the original series that I watched as a child, but this is just more edgy. Of course, the animation is just light years beyond, but it's just great. I mean, absolutely fantastic way to introduce this.
And
series.
in a way, it does remind you of the Justice League intro because I remember you telling me it sounds so much like Justice League, and it does, especially when it starts out. Then after a little bit, it starts to have its own theme, but it does have a similar tune to it in the beginning.
Right.
It's also really fitting for the series itself because it's very action and at the same time it's kind of calm. And then you get to the part where Megatron shows them Decepticons, and that's their action element, which is also in the show. Because it's also different from all these other Transformer series they've done. Each one has had mostly a comedy segment in it. It's predominantly comedy.
Because I think it's being geared more toward younger audiences before that series.
Right. Because they had them in the first one, of course, when it was in the 80s. And then you had Transformers Animated, which kind of sounded weird, and having Peter Cullen's Optimus Prime sounded bizarre to me.
Right.
And then you get, which was mostly partially comedy and action. And this one is predominantly action with some humor in it. And then you get to Robots in Disguise, which kind of has an intro, but it's nowhere near as epic as this one. Like the show's okay, intro's okay, but I think this one for us personally is the best one in terms of the music and the style, and it's fitting with the show.
Absolutely, and the standouts are, of course, Peter Cullen's Optimus Prime. You can never get enough of Peter Cullen. He is a legend and awesome. And also for this series, it was darker, and the writing was much more I would say TV 17 oriented.
Yeah.
And that made this not only dynamic, but it was just engrossing just how detailed each of the episodes were. So that paired with the awesome intro is why this made it on our list.
And now, at number 2, Wonder Woman's theme from the Wonder Woman movie by Hans Zimmer and
John 2XL. Oh my gosh, I love the Wonder Woman theme. It is, I'm sorry, there's no other way to put it. It is kick ass. With the visual and the music, oh my gosh, you're just pumped. This is this is the only movie I've ever watched where from beginning to end you were enthralled, and then you get to the end of the movie and they put this theme at the end, and you're all hyped up and pumped up again, and the movie's ending, and you're like, oh boy, the end credits.
Right? Oh yeah, I never thought you'd be excited for the end credits of the movie, because they show you the little animation tones at the end for what you just saw. Right. So so like you said, you're excited from beginning to end. even when the music's not there, a movie itself is just really enjoyable and interesting for the people who were waiting 100 years for a Wonder Woman theatrical movie.
Exactly. This is one of our two, we have to say, theme perfections. Because this one's a live action, of course, adapted from animation and comics. So that's why we put it in the list, because it is based in the comic book world.
Right.
But, pair Gal Gadot and just her acting and her authenticity in real life, having served the Israeli army and knowing Craig Magan and all her different experiences that have just, come together and made her perfect for this role. And the action throughout and the acting throughout and the writing. And don't forget Chris Pine. This just gave this movie everything they need to take it over the top. And you can understand just by listening to the theme why this music is so loved.
Yeah,
this
and
movie.
it is. Yeah, and the movie is, like I said, epic in its own right, and just coupled with the music, as you said, ties it in. And every time when she starts her fight scene or action scene, and it's all one big tracking shot of her being bad guys in one scene. It couldn't cut anything. It all had to be done in one tracking shot, and having the theme at the same time, and it's just perfectly executed, and ties in together. So it gets you to experience, like I said, at the beginning of the movie, like, yes, and this fighting thing, it's yes, the end of the movie, yes.
Every time there's a fight scene, you're like, yeah. And you're excited. You're just kept on edge in a good way throughout the entire movie. Even when you're watching, as you said, the milder scenes, like where there's more discussion and more plot, you know what's coming, and you kind of get you're anticipating what's going to be a result of these talks and discussions and the plot lines that are happening. But this is just, when we saw it, just within the first 5 minutes, we understood why this movie was so loved in theaters.
Right.
And we didn't get to see it in theaters, but let me tell you, seeing it on DVD or seeing it on live streaming or in HD does not minimize or take away from your experience. It is just awesome in every way that is viewed.
And it's also, it just has so much, it's a great
testament.
It's a great testament to superhero movies in general. Like I said, people have been waiting decades to get a Wonder Woman movie after seeing a Man of Steel and Batman and Batman and Superman and you got all these, and finally you get a Wonder Woman movie, and this the payoff is well worth.
Thankfully, yes.
Yes, and as you said, and it's inspired a lot of people, whether in writing or just in real life, just how well this movie is written and executed. And even if you're not a giant fan of superhero movies, it's still a great movie to watch. It's for storytelling and action and plot. Right.
And one of the best things about it is we finally had a successful female superhero or heroine major blockbuster. They've had other attempts with Supergirl. She plays Supergirl now on the Supergirl series. She plays the mom.
Okay. I've only seen her once.
Helen Slater. Helen Slater originally did Supergirl movie back in the 80s. It was great, but it wasn't as well received as they wanted. Then you had Halle Berry with Catwoman. I love the movie, but it was not commercially a success and was not well received, and she even got a Razzie. I own this movie. I love this movie, but again, it was not successful. And then you had, was there one more female superhero movie made?
I don't think so.
Okay. Then you come along with Wonder Woman and Gal Gadot, and we're talking about decades later. And as you said, it paid off. The wait paid off. Casting the perfect woman, casting the perfect people for all of the other roles, and making sure that the costumes and the music and the backdrops and the scenery, everything about this movie is perfect. There is absolutely nothing I personally can think of that would have made this movie any better than it is. It's superlative in the way that it has been executed. And thank you, DC. Thank you so much. And Hans Zimmer is a powerhouse in music. He has been for decades, since the 80s.
Every time you turn around, he's in some other film doing music. Like, he did all the music for Kung Fu Panda. I was surprised. No wonder it sounds great every movie and every scene.
And he's also been elemental in so many blockbuster movies again since the 80s. So that's why Wonder Woman's theme makes number 2 on our top countdown. And now, for the piece de resistance, it's Marvel's The Avengers movie main theme. Every time I hear that music, I get excited, and I have to always listen to the full 2 minutes and 4 seconds of the theme. But due to copyright, we could only give you 25 seconds, so we tried to find the perfect 25 seconds for you to hear.
Right, and when you hear it on its own, the full thing uninterrupted, it's just
An
epic.
experience.
Yeah, and it's epic. I imagine going to the theaters and hearing that, having on your soundtrack and hearing that. Like, I imagine the experience when they went and recorded the score for the movie, you know, because they play at the same time as the scene going.
Right.
So I can only imagine the experience seeing the people play the instruments, but just hearing it on its own enough is just awesome.
Right, and the part that we chose for you, you can hear the strings and the different instruments in the background. You can hear the exchanges, and you can hear the beauty just in that small clip of how much time and care was taken into writing this score and getting the right instruments and getting the actions exactly as they need to be conveyed in this 2 minute and 4 second piece of music.
Right.
It's just brilliant. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's absolute brilliance. This is perfection.
Right. And it's a shame that they waited 100 years to put the theme back into the franchise, because this was the first time it was made for the first movie in 2012.
Right.
Then they didn't use it for Age of Ultron because they wanted to have a creepy reimagining of Pinocchio's song, The No Strings on Me. They wanted to have that and make it incredibly dark and depressing.
Right.
And then you finally get to Infinity War, and it's even more epic version of this. They still have the theme, but they added a few more tones, so it's more epic since it's the final movie in the Avengers franchise.
Right, but this first one from the series is the perfect one. This is the perfect version of this particular piece of music, and we should have looked up what it's called. Oh, is it the main theme?
It is the main theme. Technically, that is it.
Okay. And I like to say this is the only DVD we've ever owned where I can sit and watch the intro card,
the menu
over and over, looking at the images and listening to the music, and still excited every time I see it. It never gets old. It's just that darn awesome.
Yeah, and like I said, and it's so epic, especially when you have that playing during the movie too, when you see them all fight, when each one, and you have that music going, and it's full of action. It's kind of like the Wonder Woman one, where the music and the visuals and they mix well together, and you're like, yes.
So this is why this movie made our number one, and on top of that, this theme made our number one. On top of that, it's just an excellent movie. When we first saw the Avengers, we were just stoked and shook and excited, and we were so shook we had to sit and watch it immediately again. We didn't even wait to see it a second time. It's like, okay, we got to play this again. The very next day, we watched the movie over again, and we've probably seen it now about 4 times.
I think so, yeah.
And it's kind of like,
I think we're due for another rewatch because it's been a few years.
Right. No, it was last year. So I guess it's kind of going to where it's an annual thing for us. And personally, I could watch it more than once a year. It's just that beautifully done. It's, in my opinion, it's one of the top 5 Marvel live-action movies ever made. This doesn't include Black Panther because we haven't seen it, and we know that movie is going to be just awesome and incredible. But we'll say, out of the movies we've seen prior to seeing Black Panther, this is definitely one of the top 5, and I think even with Black Panther, there's no way this movie isn't going to stay in the top 5.
Right.
So this is our choice of the 8 top animation theme intros and music that we enjoy and appreciate. We hope some of them are your favorites, and if you've got some that we haven't touched on, let us know.
Yeah, because I know there's got to be more action shows or even comedy shows that have just these epic orchestral themes, and we just haven't covered in here. But these are the ones we are most familiar with, and some of them are a few recent, like the Troll Hunters one, and they're just epically amazing. So, like I said, if there's any that you feel like you want to put down that we haven't mentioned here, put them in the comments below.
Yeah, and they can be old favorites as well, like we went back with Ben 10 and
Justice League and Transformers.
League, right. So it's okay. It doesn't have to be current. And before we sign off, I'd like to give a shout out to Jonny Easton. And his epic chase music is the one that you hear every time prior to this when we've done a podcast that has to do with superheroes or villains or anything that's epic. And he's just an awesome musician and composer. If you haven't gone to his site, you need to visit it. He has written for some movies in Europe. He's just an incredibly nice guy, and we're so proud to be able to call him a friend.
Yeah, and your music is just amazing.
And he's also responsible for us meeting other friends on YouTube. So, Jonny Easton, we just want to say thank you. And hopefully you can be able to join us and do an intro for one of our future podcasts. Yeah. It would be an honor. So that's it.
Well, to wrap things up for us, next time on Paws Animation, we'll be doing
Tangled, the animated series, Disney XD.
Or is it Disney Channel? Oh, okay, whichever. It's
there is no Disney Channel anymore. It's Disney XD. You're being lost in a little girl time warp.
No, they got Disney Channel. That's all sitcoms. That's probably why no one wants to remember it.
As I said, there's no Disney Channel.
Okay.
But I can't wait for this because they have a favorite of a lot of YouTubers and Tumblers and Twitterers. And that is Varian. Yeah. I've come to grow on me as well.
All right, and we'll explain how that came to be when we talk about it next week.
So,
I'm Ask Entertainments.
And I'm Mama Entertainments.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.
And reporters sitting, flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. With her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket.